You're listening to the Multiverse Fan Cast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
My name is Oliver Queen.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
My name is Kara Zor-El. I'm from Krypton.
Everyone, this is my cousin. I guess you already know. Okay, I think I have this. Oliver.
Green Arrow.
Dig.
Spartan.
Thea.
Speedy.
Okay. And Sarah.
White Canary.
Jax. And Professor Stein.
Firestorm.
Ray.
Palmer. The Atom.
And Mick.
Oh, Heatwave.
Always a pleasure to see you, Lucy.
Hello? Don't believe we've met. Lucifer, Morningstar. Consider us even, John Constantine.
Constantine.
Is it? I don't care.
You ready? All right, then. On with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Multiverse Fan Cast. You can take us on the go with Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts listening. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look up the Multiverse Fan Cast, as well as the Misfit Faction on Facebook. And on Instagram, just look up the Misfit Faction. Today we are going to be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney+. Today with me we have Paul. Paul, how are you?
Hi, Ronnie. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I answered.
I know.
I used words.
I know, but I was just trying to delay everything because now we have to introduce Rob, I guess.
Which one is he again?
He's the official third guest host. Rob, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody. I'm bringing the energy.
Yeah, I was about to say, Ronnie,
Yeah,
you're
right?
like, why are you so monotone?
Because I'm supposed to be.
Because we were talking
host.
about DC for a while.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Oh, is that why my lights are dim? The lighting in here is terrible.
I was listening to our old podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Oh, man. But before we get into our talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, we do have a little bit of news that Rob, yes,
Woo-hoo!
you heard me correct, Rob
I'm
is
taking
going
the
to be
reins.
going over.
All right. Well, first, let's cover some of our casting news for the week. This week, news broke that Russell Crowe in Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be playing none other than the great god himself, Zeus. So we're looking for. So having seen Russell Crowe in a capacity in Superman as Jor-El, it'll be interesting seeing him as the big guy Zeus. Also, we saw Emilia Clarke has officially signed on. They announced her. She's going to be part of the Secret Invasions series, which is happening on Disney+, which will be shooting soon. And that one also has Samuel L. Jackson in it. Michael Keaton was officially confirmed for the Flash movie, something we've all been looking forward to. And for the Spider-Man movie, of course, we already knew this was coming, but it's finally been confirmed that Doc Ock is definitely in Spider-Man. Also in Spider-Man, playing the main villain, our very own Willem Dafoe from previous Spider-Man movies. Oh, yes, I'm getting a funny look. This is not a rumor. This has been confirmed, sir. He's looking it up just to make sure.
I am looking at it just to make sure.
So that's it for our casting news. In terms of filming news, Doctor Strange 2 wrapped this week in the Multiverse of Madness. Did I get that right? That's coming out, I believe, in March. March?
March.
No, February.
March.
Somewhere around
next
there.
year.
All right. I forget. I think that comes out first, and then Thor: Love and Thunder comes out after that. Yes.
No.
That is not confirmed, by the way.
Oh.
The Willem Dafoe thing.
I will show you otherwise in a few minutes. I don't know when.
Okay.
All right, so we're hearing that it's being rumored.
Yeah.
All right.
It's Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina are the only ones that have been confirmed to come back.
All right. I'll show you my sources if you show me yours. Spider-Man, interestingly enough, as we talked about last week, Spider-Man not only got a big what were we talking? Was it Netflix deal?
Netflix, yeah.
Okay. And now he is coming into the fold where they are also allowing him into the Disney Plus verse. So Spider-Man will officially be on your Disney Plus home viewing schedule and streaming. And then finally, probably one of the biggest news this week, and I'll listen to what you guys think about it, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings trailer dropped. We had no idea what this was going to look like. Gentlemen, what did you think of the trailer?
I dug it. It's a little different of a take on a Marvel movie than you kind of think would be. It kind of got me a little excited. I can't wait to see more trailers and everything from this. Paul, what are some of your thoughts about it?
This new Iron Fist movie looks so much better.
Right?
No, I dug it. I think it's got a nice aesthetic to it. The fight scenes look awesome, and I hope that it's very much in the same vein as like Black Panther, and it has its own. It looks like it already has its own unique style to it. So I'm excited, and I think it's gonna be an interesting way to expand the mythos of the Marvel universe. Unfortunately, both Marvel and DC have struggled with this. The Arrowverse especially, where it's like, oh, all these things existed the whole time, and we're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Like
season 4 of Arrow, Oliver's like, oh yeah, magic's a thing, and everybody's like, wait, what? Why would you not lead with that after you got off your island?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how this is going to kind of expand the lore and expand the world of Marvel up until Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness breaks everything.
Yeah, right. What were your thoughts, Rob?
I thought it was neat because it does look very much like a kung fu movie, very much like in the Bruce Lee traditions. It looks like nothing we've really seen before, and I'm hoping we don't get Kung Fu Iron Man. That we actually get, like Doctor Strange was, magical Iron Man.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we get a good story. I have to say, I got very much Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon vibes from seeing,
yeah,
which was really cool, especially seeing them floating through the air in the forests and stuff like that. So I'm hoping they're drawing from a lot of their traditions, and I think Marvel has learned their lesson from Iron Fist in terms of what works and what doesn't work in the kung fu area, and when it comes to Asian culture. So I think they got it right.
I really want to see Shang-Chi, Daredevil, and Iron Fist all go like toe to toe. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because we did get in Defenders, Daredevil and Iron Fist. I think they have 1 or 2 sparring matches, and those were some of the better fight scenes to see Daredevil and Iron Fist kind of go at each other. It's a great way to bring Iron Fist back in and kind of redeem him too. I don't want the focus to be taken off of Shang-Chi, but like I said, they've dabbled in this world a little bit with some of the Netflix stuff, but all that stuff's up in the air, like the rumors, innuendos, and all these things. Like nobody knows. The fans want like all these characters to come back, but who knows? Like that's neither here nor there for us.
We don't like to report too much on rumors here on the Misfit faction, and so we don't want to talk about like some of the characters from Netflix that may or may not be coming over. Also, just checking, yes, Green Goblin is only rumored. You are correct, sir.
But if you want to hear more about that, we did do an Netflix episode about all the shows.
Oh yes,
that was a good episode.
Yes, it was.
That was a lot of fun.
And that concludes our news section. So now it's time to get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Do you want to do non-spoiler thoughts before we take a break?
Sure.
And then do spoilers after the break?
Of course.
Am I throwing you off?
No, it's like a throwback. That's what we used to do.
That is what we used to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Breaks.
All right, so we'll jump right into some non-spoiler stuff.
That's a great idea, Ronnie.
I know, right? Good thing I'm here to host.
If you have, first of all, if you haven't seen the show, why are you listening to us?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think people would want to see the show first.
You know what? I have a reviewer that I really enjoy. His name's Jeremy Johns on YouTube. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he's fantastic. He'll always do like spoilers, non-spoilers for especially movies. He'll do a non-spoiler review first, and then like a few days later he'll do the spoiler review. So sometimes I like to read reviews before I see a movie or anything like that.
Oh yes,
it's
that's
funny.
True. When you think about it that way, I do that.
Rob, you've been reviewing every episode on our website, themisfitfaction.com. But I've read I like to read the reviews on like IGN and stuff like that. Especially because IGN gave the season finale a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I saw some reviews that were negative as well.
And we'll talk about that. But sometimes it's nice, especially considering we do this. To have the full picture. It's really easy for us as not, and this isn't like a Marvel dig or anything, but like it's easy for us when we get excited. I mean, look at our Justice League episode, the first one.
Yeah.
We were so glass was half full that we
were just excited that a movie actually came out.
And so sometimes it's nice for us to go in with a little bit of perspective. I like hearing the negative reviews sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't affect the way that I view the movie, but it's good when we want to have discussion.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we jump into some non-spoiler reviews? Paul, would you like to go first?
Overall, the show it's really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like watching a very short movie. Whereas WandaVision felt like a syndicated TV show, and that was kind of the vibe they were going for anyway. Falcon and Winter Soldier was almost like a movie-going experience, just broken up into a bunch of little pieces.
Yeah.
So I think, personally, I would have loved to see that this could have been a movie.
Yeah.
But I think it benefited from having a little bit of time to flex itself. Even though it's only 6 episodes, it was just really well done and really good. And, it gets deep and it gets intricate and it crosses into territory like we were saying for Shang-Chi that we haven't seen before in Marvel. So it's nice that they're expanding out and they're really pushing what a Marvel property could be.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of really cool fight scenes, which we're definitely going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Because I will say Falcon has one of my favorite fighting styles in the entire MCU.
Yeah.
As much as I loved, seeing Steve Rogers or Thor and all the really cool stuff, some of the best things were what he does with those wings. It's cool to have a character where, he can fly. What else? But because that's like the common conception.
Yeah.
It's great seeing him use his powers in certain ways, especially. Yes. I don't want to say to compensate, but just to be on an even playing field with some of these superpowered beings.
All right, Rob, what are some of your thoughts?
I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I every week was just an absolute thrill for me to watch it. It was a different experience than WandaVision, but it was neat to see them together. Because they're actually a lot more similar than they might at first seem, just because they're both shows were so thematically rich. There were so many great messages and so many things going on. It was flawed like anything else. It didn't do everything perfectly, and we'll talk about that too. It benefited from being a 6-episode show instead of a movie because we did get smaller moments that we wouldn't get in a movie because they'd be cut for runtime.
Yeah.
Characters like Sam's sister would probably never make it in there because
hey Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah. Yeah. Other little things would never. They wouldn't get a mention because we
wouldn't have got the dancing.
Zemo release the Zemo cut.
Yeah.
That would have been cut out quick.
Oh yeah. But so I like that it took its time. I also like that each episode I thought was very different from one another. I didn't really feel like that. It didn't feel like a movie chopped up into 6 parts. It felt like 6 episodes that had different purposes with each one. And as a result, each one had, added to either a character arc or to a theme. And it just added so much for me in the Marvel Universe. And I have to say 2 things. First of all, I'm very, very, very much looking forward now to Loki because it's clear that they know what they're doing over there at the MCU television series. And second, because I was writing about it, I got to see every episode twice. Once, first time with my family, and then the second time would be when I was writing. And I have to say that the show strongly benefits from a second watch. You notice quite a bit on that second time because you know where it's going. So many decisions that are made in the show make so much more sense, and the message resounds that much more.
Awesome.
Ronnie, what did you think?
I kind of agree with both of you. I thought it was a lot different than WandaVision. Me personally, I enjoyed this a lot more than WandaVision. But I to hit on the point about the 6 episodes and the different stories and everything like that, it was almost as if they were like, hey, each episode is going to be a different character's episode. So that's where the stories come in. It wasn't like, all right, this is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and it's all about them. You had like 10 different characters, and they all had their moments to shine. And like I said, your major ones had their own episodes where you kind of like sided almost with the characters they were talking about. You had your Sam episode, your Bucky, your Carly episode, and obviously Walker as well. And you had your Zemo moments. Who would have thought that we all would have ended up liking Zemo?
He still killed a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I just meant like the character, like not saying like, oh, we like him, he's a good person.
It's amazing how in today's world, if you make somebody a goofy dad type, that we forget he murdered a building of people.
Don't forget that we feel that way about Loki too, even though he murdered lots of people.
It shows how much charm and charisma can really help, and we're going to talk about that with some of our characters tonight.
So maybe no one is beyond redemption then.
Yeah.
Except for John Walker, if you ask.
Except for John Walker.
But yeah, no, this was definitely a great show. Like I said, this could have been a movie, but I think it would have done better as a show, like it did. I think it wouldn't have been as strong as a movie, but still would have enjoyed seeing a movie. And I hope, not to get ahead of ourselves, but one day we'll see something, But that's going to do it for our non-spoiler reviews. We're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll come back and do some spoiling. We'll talk about all the different characters, plot points, and talk about what we think the MCU could do going forward with this show. So we'll take a quick little break, so we'll be back in a flash.
I'll deal with you later. Stay put. I'll be back in a flash.
Back in a flash. Wow. Does he say that often?
Too often.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to jump right into our conversation about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Again, this is where we're going to get spoily, so if you have not watched the entire show, please pause us and come back to us.
I can't believe Bruce Wayne was the power broker the whole time.
Who would have thunk it? But we're going to jump right in. Like I said, we're going to go through the characters. While going through those characters, obviously, we'll talk about some plot points and everything like that. I think the star of the show is Sam.
I was going to say Red Wing.
Yeah. So we'll start off with Sam. Paul, what were your thoughts, and how do you feel about Sam?
I think Sam was such a great, it's such a great growth of his character. Unfortunately, he got his most character development during Winter Soldier, and then during the other movies, he was there and he was, a part of it, but it was Winter Soldier and this that really just kind of sold me on him, and him becoming Captain America was well deserved. Great payoff at the end. I loved his suit.
Yeah.
I really think it was his own style. He's just, I really enjoy Sam.
Now, do you think that suit, because we saw that he gets this briefcase from Bucky from the Wakandans. Do you think it was just the wings and the new Red Wing that he got, or was it the whole entire suit that the Wakandans made?
Just the underwear.
Just the underwear?
Just vibranium underwear.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if that whole suit's made out of vibranium.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Technology.
Yeah. Well, I know, only Black Panther's suit is made out of vibranium. They never say what they're they say they make it into their clothes and all that, but
yeah,
I'm curious to see, because what does he need the shield for if he's wearing vibranium?
Yeah,
to protect his head,
just his mouth.
Yeah, right.
My hair,
his spine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think Sam was awesome in this. I love seeing a little bit more of his. He was dealing with veterans, so him and Bucky have such a great rapport, and we'll talk about that when we get to Bucky. But yeah, I think Sam, I am fully in support of as our new Captain America.
Awesome. Rob, what were your thoughts on him?
It's a good origin story for Sam becoming Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see him tackling so many deeper ideas in terms of not only becoming Captain America after Steve Rogers, but also being a black Captain America. And how, there was a line in this most recent episode where I don't remember it exactly, but something along the lines of, every time I stand up, half there's a million people who don't like me or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And that was neat because it was a nod and an acknowledgement of the difficulties that exist in our country in terms of having a black superhero. Unfortunately, that exists in our country, that we would have that difficulty. And it revealed, his journey revealed so many of, this. Like, I also loved that he didn't have that Stark money.
Yeah.
And he was struggling, with his boat and with his, the house and everything. It was neat to see him struggling as sort of a lower, almost like a working class man. I don't know, I hesitate to say a lower class because he's more of a working class individual in America, despite all of his accomplishments. So it was really well scripted, and the actor does such a great job in that role.
Let's address that, because the internet exploded when they found out that the Avengers weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
They got free room and board.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty much it. But it does really upset me that did they not have health insurance? Like, we're laughing.
Who would insure that?
But
but they didn't need to because of all the technology they had.
If Falcon died, though, like, his family got nothing. Like it's almost heartbreaking. And it's like what Rob said. That working class type superhero.
With him, it's different though because he was in the military, so he does have those benefits from being in the military. They're not not the best, but there is some there. But I feel like Sam is the Captain America that we would all be. We would all hope to be. Because he is the good guy and the good soldier. He's the perfect combination, right? Because you have the good guy, was never really a soldier in Steve Rogers. Then you have the not so good guy, the way he was portrayed at least, but a good soldier in John Walker. And then you have this guy who's a combination of both.
There seems to be a question in the back.
I just also want to point out that Sam Wilson's killed a lot of people too.
Yeah, fact check that.
Oh,
okay. No. I mean, just help remind us when.
Oh, in Civil War, he uses guns in the first movie. Like he kills people.
Yeah,
they're bad guys though.
But I want to establish that because I know we had this discussion, you and I, Rob, about Steve Rogers killing people, and you argued because you didn't remember that in Avengers he uses a gun also, and he killed those poor guys. Well, I want to put on the record that because we are very far past the superheroes don't kill mantras, and I'm glad that this show has addressed it to a point. It's funny, the last time I remember a character with a very strict no killing code is Daredevil.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Batman.
No, because Batman is killed since his earliest comic
Batman's got his one rule thing.
That's a much more modern use of Batman, and I think the reason it was so jarring in Justice League is because it was such a big plot point in the Nolan cut, or in the Nolan series, excuse me. Superheroes have killed a lot in the past, and I'm glad that they're kind of shying away from it from Sam, but I do want them to address it at some point, because where's the line? Obviously we've discussed John Walker at nauseum, and I think it's important that it is something that's discussed. Like,
I think emotion is the line there. That are they killing out of pure rage or are they killing out of strategy?
Okay, so here's
Here we go.
Here's my caveat. We've seen that the Avengers have used non-lethal use of force.
Yeah.
My favorite example is Age of Ultron, when Tony Stark he busts through the window and he's like, "Guys, let's talk about this," and he just knocks them all out with like little darts.
Right.
He's like, "Good talking to you." The one guy, "No, it wasn't."
Yeah.
Like, they have access to non-lethal use of force.
I think that the majority of them pick the path of least resistance.
Oh, no. Sam Wilson, he had his wings up as a guard while people were shooting at him, and he just nonchalantly on his arm guard, this is in Civil War, just shot missiles at all of them.
But he was being shot at. It was a kill or be killed moment.
But the reason we disassociate is because they are all mindless, faceless red shirts, basically. I mean, look at all the aliens in Avengers were
Right.
living beings.
Yeah.
And they wrecked them all.
I think the point that I want to bring up is that when John Walker murders, it was not necessary.
But what I'm saying is nobody in these shows has clean hands. Even Steve Rogers says it himself. He's like, we did some things that we didn't sleep so good at night.
The fact that Steve Rogers says that, and the fact that Sam says, I'm not perfect or something along the lines of that.
Yeah. Which is a great example of why, and that's what I'm kind of bringing it around to.
Yeah.
I
don't think John Walker ever says anything about being a flawed individual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's so much like that. What I'm trying to get at, I just think that I'm glad that Marvel is at least straying away from that very strict,
that PG kind of approach to crime fighting.
We did a YouTube video debating John Walker, and one of the things we brought up was that they're finally getting into much more in-depth, deep storytelling.
Yeah,
and I would actually, I remember when Man of Steel came out and Superman kills Zod at the end. There was a lot of talk about how in Batman vs Superman they were going to address that Superman doesn't kill anymore because he took a life, and that was the lesson, the penance that he has from it. They never did it. I really wish they would have. One of my favorite Marvel scenes is Daredevil and Punisher on the rooftop, where Punisher's like, when you put them down, they get back up.
Version.
Yeah, when you put them down, they get back up, but when I put them down, they stay down. Like that eternal conflict. Why doesn't Batman kill the Joker?
Right.
That's always
there would be no Batman.
Yeah, that's always because he's not a faceless red shirt.
Yeah.
You complete me
a little bit. So I think that's the last thing about Sam that I really want to say.
The only other thing I want to touch on is his little buddy, his sidekick, Joaquin.
Red Wing?
Joaquin.
Joaquin.
Red Wing? Can we just also all agree that we're so glad that Red Wing was revived?
Yes.
By the end of it. But yes, Joaquin.
Joaquin, his little right-hand man when he's going on his missions in the beginning. I would have liked to see a little bit more of him.
They definitely teed him up, though.
Yeah.
But he's only in the very beginning and the very end.
Yeah.
I was looking in this last episode because there was one moment where he was talking to, I think, Sam or something.
Yeah.
And like in a workshop, and I'm like, was looking around the workshop to see if the wings were sitting there somewhere.
Yeah.
And he was working on them, but no, they didn't do that.
I'm sure we'll get more of him in the future, though.
In the comics, he has taken up the mantle.
The mantle Falcon. Yeah. All right, so we're going to keep moving on to our next co-main character. We had Bucky, or the Winter Soldier. Well, not really Winter Soldier anymore in this.
Right, and I think that's what I like so much about this show is that so many of these characters have very definitive and complete arcs.
Yeah.
And not to bash DC, but that was one of my complaints about DC is that I don't feel they seem to be somewhat static characters.
Yeah.
Whereas, Bucky by the end here he's got his little book of names and he's crossing them off in the proper way. He's evolved as an individual. He embraces the white wolf.
Yes.
Mentality. He's grown, and he's a better person as a result. And so Bucky, I really feel like has some of the most emotional. It's neat to see Bucky and Sam both have amazingly huge arcs in this.
I definitely think Bucky was the more emotional crux of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like there are some great Sam moments when he finds out that Isaiah existed. That's a powerful scene.
Yeah.
But still, the scene that when you talk emotion and acting that sticks out to me is when they flash back to him in Wakanda, to Bucky in Wakanda, and they're like, all right, we're gonna try your trigger words, and they say them, and he just starts crying.
Yeah.
Bucky's one of those characters where, I like I said, I'm glad they're not afraid. He's a traumatized war veteran at this point. Like, he did horrific things that weren't under his control. But the line in Civil War always gets me. Tony Stark says, "Do you even remember them?" And he says, "I remember all of them." That's a powerful line.
It's interesting since you bring that up because the show does tackle PTSD, and there's a neat juxtaposition between Bucky and John Walker in how they deal with their post-war feelings that Bucky is very clearly working to having to work on them, going to see a psychiatrist, going through his book. John is sort of living out a lot of the issues.
I think for John, it's that he's not dealing with them. He's not at that point where Bucky's at that point where that's like his past, and he's like, well, what do I do now? Yeah. John's still in the story where it's like if he were to say, a week ago we were in Afghanistan and this happened, like you would believe it because it feels like
because he got stripped right off the battlefield.
Yeah,
John Walker did. While Bucky and plus with Bucky too, he was brainwashed into doing these things while John Walker was like, no, I'm here because I'm protecting and standing up for the rights of my country, over here in Afghanistan. While, like I said, Bucky was more brainwashed to be doing what he was doing. So he had no control over it. And I think that, to me, is more why he's seeking therapy. While if Walker was to do it, it's more just because of what he's seen and what he was doing, on his own recognizance. All right.
That was a big word.
Right? Thank you.
You handled those syllables well.
I did, right? Thank you. I'm impressed, too.
Recognizance.
Did I do it right? But yeah, any other thoughts on, Bucky or anything?
Something to bring up, and I was discussing with someone earlier who knows a lot about the show, and when I say that, I mean my wife, that we were discussing sort of the difference between Rogers and Walker and the time periods they come from, whereas, post-World War II, everyone came home with PTSD.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't a thing back. It was shell shock.
Yeah. And then it was battle fatigue, according to George Carlin. And the difference was that when everyone came back, it was such an enormous war that when everyone came back, everyone in the country learned to deal with it collectively. Mm-hmm. Hence why we had the 1950s sort of, very male-centered, the wife at home, creating a stable environment of cooking and cleaning and wearing the pearls, because the men who came home from World War II desperately needed to have some sort of consistency. We also, find a World War II veteran, that was very easy to do. Find an Afghanistan veteran, a little bit harder, so we didn't have that sort of collective healing that was needed and required in our country. And as a result, we had a lot of people like John Walker who came back and didn't know how to adjust because there was nothing in place for them to adjust.
Yeah.
So, I know I give John Walker a lot of crap, but the system is sort of set up against him to fail, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole show is a really good... normally, I don't enjoy when my superhero shows kind of... Supergirl's a great example of it getting rammed down your throat. Like, look how progressive and woke we are. Look how... It was too much.
Yeah.
This show... Maybe it's because it's a shorter show. Maybe it's because of the acting that goes behind it. Maybe it goes... I don't know what it did, but this show did it well, where they tackled racism in America. They tackled, not even America, racism in the world.
Yeah.
They tackled the treatment of soldiers. The fog of war, like all these different areas, and they handled it with dignity, with grace. It was emotional. It was interesting to watch, and I think that this show really, and Bucky's a great example because that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
See, this show gets us all very conversational. I love it, but Bucky is. It's a great chance for them to finally tell his story.
Yeah.
Speaking of telling stories, and I know this goes a little bit back to Sam, one of the things that I thought they really blew in the finale, yes, was that, and I really felt that this was very inauthentic as I was watching it, when Sam has his big speech. And I thought it was... Because, one of the things that as a teacher, I'm always telling my students, show me, don't tell me. Mm-hmm. Show me the nervousness and the anxiety you feel. Don't tell me that you're anxious, because seeing that will be so much more effective than being told. And there's this speech that just, it was so soapboxy and grandstandy, and it seemed so out of place for the show. And it seemed so inauthentic in the sense that, these people would just stand around and listen to him like this. And not because it's Sam, because it's anyone in this situation would just, they would, he's talking to bankers and politicians, and they're just standing there listening to him while he gives this like 5-minute speech. And I thought it was a horrible storytelling methodology that they went with. And I think they blew that section there. The rest of it, I think, is very, very good, and I have to rethink the entire episode because I literally just watched it a couple, like the rest of you, a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
So I need to let it settle in a little bit. But I really, as I was watching that scene, I'm like, this is not good.
It was definitely a little much.
Yeah.
Because they already showed him being Captain America. They could have done a better storytelling.
Inspiration very rarely comes from words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inspirational speeches are hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like they have to be done the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sam, being Sam, could have done. He could have just shown it. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a very empowering moment, and I liked it well enough. But I agree.
It was way too long.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Rob.
It had to be cut down.
They had to show each person reacting to it, and
and again, I mean, if somebody just saved your life and they were speaking, I feel like wouldn't they have your full attention?
But also,
but again, I don't need 5 minutes. Of that
real
talk.
life just doesn't work that way.
2 minutes of it, I'd be good with.
I also I hate to compare, because this is why John Walker's so hated by the fans, because we compare him to Steve Rogers.
Right.
I couldn't see Steve Rogers doing that speech.
No, I agree with you.
Any speech.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I can imagine Steve Rogers giving like a line or two.
I can imagine Steve Rogers passing it over to Tony Stark. Like that.
Tony, you talk to them.
I mean, I have to think about what they were fully going for there, and I wonder if it was sort of like letting a black voice speak in a society that oftentimes doesn't listen. I'm wondering if that's where they were going with it. But it didn't seem like it was a real life situation.
I get what they were trying to do. They just didn't stick the landing.
Yeah. There was no superhero landing on that one.
Well, Bucky got his
Actually,
superhero.
there were lots of superhero landings.
Bucky did,
that episode.
I guess we could say that Sam Wilson is the king of superhero landings at this point.
Yeah, superhero landings. He's gonna do superhero landings.
Are we gonna do superhero takeoffs next? Because we should make a top 10 list of superhero entrances and exits. Yeah.
All right, we'll keep moving on. We're briefly going to talk about this character because, like Paul alluded to earlier, we did a whole YouTube clip that you can get a chance to see on John Walker. Like I said, we did a clip, so we won't spend too much time on this character.
Check out our YouTube clip.
Exactly. Check out the YouTube channel.
The Misfit Faction Media Network.
Boom.
So,
take it away, Rob.
John Walker, and I will not read through. I know you're looking at me as I'm looking at my notes, and I'm like, no, don't worry, I won't go through all these.
I would have taken off my headphones and went upstairs and got a beer.
Like, really, I have to reiterate that Walker is a soldier, whereas Rogers is a superhero. Mm-hmm. Walker is what America actually is. Steve Rogers is what America thinks it is, and Sam Wilson is what we all should be, as you were saying earlier. John Walker, as we were saying earlier, is a very complex character. Mm-hmm. He's like, I can't easily go with he's bad. He's a bad guy. It's not that simple. I think he's a deeply flawed individual with humanity to him that makes some very poor decisions and should have never been given the Captain America mantle, and that he's walking around fighting with his trash can lid.
I would have really enjoyed some sort of explanation. Like, they mentioned he's Medal of Honor. I would have loved to see that selection process, like an interview process. Like, even if it's just like a brief 30-second thing where it's like, well, what are we looking for? What do we need? Do we want just somebody who's handsome and does this and like but I think Rob and I have disagreed on John Walker, like within reason with each other. Like it's not like just you're
we're not
stupid.
Opposite ends of the spectrum here,
which is a testament to the writing and the character. I think we both agree that he was never supposed to be Captain America, and that was the point. And it's going to be interesting to see him as U.S. agent.
I think he'll make a better U.S. agent as a Captain America.
Tell me a little bit about U.S. agent. I know some, and I have to say, seeing Madam Hydra in charge of him is kind of worrisome. What can you tell me about U.S. agent?
So U.S. agent, as far as I remember, he was an actual Captain America replacement in the comics.
Yes.
So when Captain America was on ice, he was the he took over. I'm not super familiar. I know his entire platoon got powers, and he really did just want to do the right thing. Like, and you see it in this where at the end of the show, in the last episode, he does push away his personal vendetta, and he does the right thing, which was a very powerful moment.
Yeah, it shows that he's capable of doing the right thing.
It shows that he's not a bad guy.
Right.
He's just a guy. He's just not Steve Rogers.
He's
and I hate to I do agree with Rob. He's a good soldier, but that doesn't mean you're good.
Yeah.
Like they say it in Captain America, just because you're a good soldier, that's not what we're looking for.
He probably looks great on paper. Like, as you were talking about the selection process, I'm thinking, if you looked at his file, it'd be like, wow, this guy is really impressive. But that doesn't mean a good soldier does not necessarily make for a good moral leader of the country.
Yeah. So in the comics, he gets his powers from the Power Broker. Okay. Very, very similar type. And he actually goes on a crusade to not only replace Captain America, but also to ruin his reputation during it. So in the comics, he's definitely way worse.
I feel like Captain America is more your soldier for the country, while U.S. agent is an agent for the government.
Also,
I had said in our YouTube that there's a difference between serving your government and serving your country.
Yeah.
Those are two very different things.
I also, I know we keep talking about our YouTube video, but
it was a good discussion.
The thing about this is it's the U.S. people, the people don't know who Captain America is.
Yeah.
Like, look at the battle with Thanos. There wasn't somebody there watching like, oh my God, Steve Rogers just picked up Thor's hammer because he's like the goodest guy.
Yeah.
So we got to see a lot more of Steve Rogers. Like, they studied him in history books in this. Like, I'm sure there was a course in West Point that was all about Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who he was. Even like when he comes back and he's fighting in New York City, like the cops go, "Why are we taking orders from you?" And you get your comedic moment of him,
doing that bunch,
ripping the arm off of Chitauri, but whatever.
That's not killing anything.
But again, World War II mentality, very clear good guys and bad guys.
Remove the arm. But so I think that also has a very big factor in, this is what we think the American people want. And the American people are like, yeah, we do. We want a new Captain America. When they don't know anything about Steve Rogers. They just know it's
funny,
taught.
too, going back to that part in the Avengers. Like, the cops start listening to him when they see him, when he reveals his character, and they're like, oh, this guy is... Like, he doesn't say, I'm Captain America, that's why you should follow me. He does some things, and everyone's like, okay, this guy clearly knows what he's doing, and he's in charge, let's follow him. Like, I love the moments in this show when Walker walks into a room and says something along the lines of, like, I am Captain America.
Yeah.
Don't you know who I am? Like, Walker hides behind that persona, and he uses that as an excuse to do all that he does. Well, why are you doing that? Well, because I'm Captain America. That's why I'm doing it. Whereas Steve Rogers never used the shield as an excuse for his behavior.
Yeah.
He was more of a genuine leader, where his actions were... He was always okay with calling them into question because he wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah. I feel like we all felt bad for him towards the end due to the death of Lamar. And it's crazy to think, because Lamar was the one that kind of grounded him, kind of made him like make sure to keep the Captain America persona, what it's supposed to be. But then once we get the death of Lamar, that's when he starts going downhill and becomes more of the U.S. agent type versus the Captain America type.
I got to say, what I was all on board with that too, but what worried me was when Walker asked Lamar, would you take the serum? And he's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's not as good as I thought he was.
But
I think I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's
But
not
would you take that
good.
serum?
That's a tough question.
See, that's the thing. It's like,
but the thing is that Lamar didn't answer that way. He didn't say, "Oh, wow, that's complete." He was like, "Hell yeah!"
I think because of the fact that after what happened to everyone with the blip, I feel like now everyone knows there's all these superhuman, super beings out there that why wouldn't you want, especially as a soldier, why wouldn't you want to be able to level the playing field? So to me, I think that's where he's coming from. I don't think it's more like, oh, I want
but yet
this.
Sam
I don't want the serum. Yeah, true. which I'm completely okay with. I think because he knows that this is what could happen. It's either going to make you like Steve Rogers, or it's going to make you like John Walker, and he doesn't want to take
roid rage.
Exactly, he doesn't want to take that risk.
They don't know that.
Who doesn't know what?
So we are told in Captain America: The First Avenger, Dr. Erskine says to Steve, he says it, my serum just amplifies, right? What's good becomes great, but what's bad becomes worse. So Steve Rogers knew
Which
that.
is repeated in Falcon and the Winter Soldier by either Lamar. Yeah, I think it's Lamar.
What Lamar says is it only makes you more of yourself. Like something
Okay.
along those lines. John Walker does hesitate when they're discussing it, but Steve Rogers also, he was like, I want to take this, I want to do this. Like, I want to serve my country. So it's interesting seeing, like, same path, just very different roadways almost.
Different motivations.
Well, because with Steve, Steve was, I want to serve.
Same motivations.
Yeah.
I want to serve. I'm serving my country.
But this was the thing.
But it's reflective.
But Steve wanted to serve and he couldn't, right? Because he was too scrawny and this too small and all this.
But what did you say? You're playing on a different field now.
Yeah.
Technically, John Walker is scrawny now in a world of gods and thunderbolts and blips and.
But you
what's
were
a
talking about
soldier
wanting
gonna
to
do
serve the country. He was already serving. He's already got the training.
When's the next? But what happens when the next alien invasion comes in? Where are the Avengers?
Look at Sam. Look at Iron Man. Look at Hawkeye. All these guys are not superhuman.
But they have non-regular human advantages, though.
So does he. He's in the military. He's probably great marksman to have all those Medal of Honors and
I would love to
everything
have
like that.
some vibranium wings and a high-powered bow and arrow that picks my arrow for me. A super suit with an arc reactor.
But see, those are things he can get. We're talking about a serum that is manufactured to make you stronger, make you superhuman. While those things
steroids.
While those things that you're talking about, the wings and stuff, I can just go make my own. Like,
right.
I mean,
okay, for the record, Ronnie, please don't make your own wings because we all know where that's going to go.
All right, we're all athletes to some extent here.
Yeah.
We all have the not that it's sitting in here in front of us, but we all have the opportunity in life to take steroids and body enhancing stuff that is not good for us, but that would make us stronger, better, whatever. Do we?
Well, here's the question.
Go ahead.
If I'm in a competition where everyone else is already using steroids, what?
Nope.
No.
So I'm going to go into a competition knowing that I'm going to play quote unquote fairly, but it's not against the rules. Let's say that you're in a competition where it's completely allowed to use whatever means to win,
including steroids.
Well, this is the thing.
Do you think Thanos was like, "Let me take off the glove to fight you guys"?
Hold on though. But with steroids, you can't just take them and you grow. You need to still put in the work. So if I'm putting in more work than you are while you are on steroids, I can get to what you look like with steroids without taking them.
I'm not. Yeah, see, I don't think I would ever consider taking them because I would just work
Especially
harder.
since they make your pee-pee smaller.
Well, we're talking like super realistic. I'm talking like just in the terms of Marvel and all this.
Well, yeah. No, even that.
But it's
right.
like I said, do you think Tony Stark or Captain America wouldn't take any advantage they can get to win a battle?
Hold
to
on.
Save the world?
No.
Why do I need to take the super serum to make myself stronger? Look at Batman versus Superman. Did Batman win because of his brains?
No.
I mean,
yes,
because of Martha.
Think about Zemo. Zemo has the super serum in front of him, and he stepped on it.
But that's his own personal beliefs. But how is it any? But what about Steve using Mjolnir? Isn't that an unfair advantage?
No.
How? I mean,
He was
it's a
worthy.
weapon. But it's a weapon.
Again, what I'm saying is, if I'm fighting, Steve used something to level the playing field.
I think what we're saying is, would Steve do something that was, would he cheat to win?
He did. He's full of cheating super soldier. Like that's cheating.
All right, so I think there's gonna be no resolution to this at
Abraham
all.
Erskine said, "I can make you better than any human," and he was like, "Okay."
But see, this was but the thing is he went from being scrawny and not being able to do what he wanted to.
Couldn't he have fought the war at home? There were plenty of ways for people that were physically incapable of joining World War II to support the World War II effort at home.
Yes, but
he could have built munitions. He could have helped with volunteer work. Like, there were plenty of things he could do.
But that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted to go overseas and fight. So he went.
He took steroids.
Yes. But the difference between him and Walker is the fact that he did it for good, while Walker did not do it for good.
He did it for himself.
Do good.
No. See, what Ronnie's saying, and I agree with it, is that, he did it because he wanted to better serve his country, whereas Walker did it because he wants to be the hero. And there is a difference there. Mm-hmm. That if Steve Rogers could be anonymous and serve his country and be a hero, I think he still would choose to do that.
But John Walker did. He did
choose to be anonymous? How is running out into a football field
stadium? He served his country as a hero for years.
Right.
He wasn't on serial. He wasn't going for it. And then it wasn't until he was Captain America that suddenly he was thrown into the spotlight and he had to adjust.
But he went after that spotlight, whereas
we don't know
Steve
that.
Never did.
We do not know that.
The way it's portrayed, though.
Yeah.
No, the way it's portrayed is he's Captain America. Here's the show you now need to put on. We don't know what he was like before all this. That's why I would not say no to if they do a U.S. agent show. Do flashbacks. Show us him before this.
I would like to see that,
because we got him at the Steve Rogers USO show point where he's punching Hitler in the jaw.
Yeah.
So, I just, like I said, it's great to have a character that sparks such.
He is morally complex and definitely a.
So you two would not take the Super Soldier Serum.
No.
I mean I would hope that I would do the right thing. And right now, the right thing is telling me no.
All right. I would. And I can say that with conviction. I would.
All right. Okay.
All right. Speaking of Super Soldier Serum, up next we're going to talk about Carly. All right.
Carly Morgenthau.
So she's an interesting character, to say the least, because she's another one that's wanting to do good, but in the wrong way.
She is also very complex, too, because she very much believes in her actions and her cause to the point where she is flawed, too, because she is so all in on it. But what's neat is to see her... and this is why I actually hold her in higher esteem than John Walker, is because there are so many moments where she does question herself. Like, there is a moment in the second or... I think it's the third episode, where she's asking one of the other Flag Smashers, do you think what we're doing is right?
I think it's also reflective of her age.
Yeah.
She's a very young... So there's still that hopeful glimmer of naivety.
And let's face it, too, she hasn't seen war in the same way that John Walker has seen war.
All these characters have seen war in very different ways.
Yeah.
With Sam being somebody who worked with the VA, Bucky, being a World War II veteran, and
which him working in the VA is kind of the reason why he was trying to get her to see, like, listen, like, I agree with what you were trying to do, but don't do it in this way. Let's figure out a more peaceful way to get this thing done, because again, like I said, she's fighting the good fight, but in the wrong way.
But unfortunately, it's at the end of the show where I lose all sympathy for her. When
Yes.
she's like, all right, well, we'll kill the hostages.
Yes.
And like the rest of her team's like,
Yeah.
and she even tries to, like, one world, and they're like, she's like, one
I think you're seeing her descend too far into her own ideals, and she's
past the point of no return, and
agreed.
she realizes it, and there's no coming back for her. Unfortunately, her character. I think either who is it? I think Bucky and Zemo both say, like, she passed.
I remember Zemo saying that. Yeah.
I still like how Sam didn't want to give up on her and didn't want to fight her, but like, to the point where she was about to kill him.
Yeah.
And I definitely think she would have.
Oh yeah.
But
thank God for Sharon Carter.
You want to talk about Sharon Carter?
Let's talk about Sharon Carter.
You mean the power broker?
God, that was the most, like, obvious twist.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No. Yeah.
They could have done better.
I think I just like Sharon Carter too much to want her to be the power broker.
Yeah.
I still think of her as
I'm wondering, you think she'd be like, what, double, triple agent? Right? Double? Would she be a double agent?
I have so much respect for Peggy Carter, obviously, and to see her become the power broker. Now, but we also have to remember the power broker isn't necessarily bad. The power broker is just
a business.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it makes sense in this world. Like, we were just talking about it. People are going to want new and invent. They want to keep escalation. They say it in Batman Begins. We start carrying automatic rifles. They buy armor piercing. It's going to build.
Yeah.
And
she's Tony Stark before he becomes Iron Man.
Yep. Oh, that's a very good analogy. But I really I don't. It was super obvious who she was. I enjoyed her in the first episode or two, but also I'm like, why are they so scared of her? Like, Carly literally shoots her once. Okay. Oh no, power broker.
Yeah.
Like, they were terrified of the power broker coming after him, and here comes Sharon Carter.
Yep.
With what's his name? Batroc?
Yeah. Batroc the Leaper.
The Leaper of all superhuman jumping. Oh god, yeah.
It was nice to see Batroc back again.
I thought he was only going to be in that first episode. I'm glad they brought him back a little bit.
George St. Pierre.
George, yes.
Yeah.
But one of the only humans that went toe to toe with Captain America and lasted more than 4 seconds. Yeah. But I don't really. I'm curious what they're gonna do with Sharon Carter, especially because she rejoins the CIA.
Yeah.
I feel like she's been laundering art.
Yeah.
I guess.
But I guess they don't know that.
Recruitment's real low, I guess, this month. So we need.
Whatever.
We'll save a ton on going
whatever
to the
works
academy.
works. But another. I guess he's a bad character, but he kind of grew on you a little bit. I think we could all agree with that. He kind of grows on you as Zemo, who's definitely a little bit of a bright spot in it.
Yeah.
He helped Bucky become the White Wolf and not the Winter Soldier, which is weird to think because he was the one that made him the Winter Soldier.
I'm still a little disappointed that he did not end up being the actual bad guy of the season, and that he only wore his iconic mask for no reason whatsoever for 7 seconds.
And I don't know if you noticed, it was overly CGI'd too.
Especially when he took it off. Oh my god. Oh, they. All right, so we got $14 in the budget. What do you want to use it on? It'd be really funny.
Purple masks.
Purple masks, just for the one time.
I'm sure we'll see him again though.
Yeah, and I'm glad they brought back the raft.
Yeah,
it's an iconic Marvel type prison. So it's the negative zone and all that stuff. So
I liken it to Arkham Asylum, that everyone kind of gets out of there at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, Steve Rogers broke them all out of the raft.
Yeah,
except for Hawkeye and Ant-Man. They stayed.
Yeah.
Remember, they took deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see. I would not say no to a show about just Sharon Carter and Zemo. Kind of at war with each other over superpowers.
God, I just got a better idea. What if they made a reality show about the raft?
That'd be great.
That would be funny.
Shoot it like The Office.
Yeah. It's weird. You had confessionals from Zemo and everything.
So today was a rough day.
Yeah, right?
I had time on the yard, but it rained, and we're on a boat.
Yeah, right?
So...
and if that guard looks at me wrong one more time...
Yep.
We'll keep things moving along with another... Hydra, even though we don't really know she's associated with Hydra at this point in time. You had Val.
But don't call her Val.
Don't call her Val.
Don't even think it.
No.
Who has
a business card that's
says
nothing. Just black and white.
So it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Go ahead. What's her full name? What's her name on the show? Go ahead.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Ooh. Isn't there a Contessa in there somewhere too?
Probably.
I thought there was.
It's Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Because Contessa
just call me Val.
It's a title.
Yeah.
But I remember that was the one they were like, big cameo.
See, I didn't know that.
We had to look it up.
I didn't know there was a big cameo, so that was
you didn't know that?
Yeah,
okay.
That was one of the nice things about this is that because I kind of learned that lesson from WandaVision, where there was like big rumors and all these who's going to show up, and then it was like
that was Paul Bettany just trolling, and then
really
obviously all that set up for a boner joke.
And so with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I stayed away from like any kind of spoilers, any kind of talk about it, and so that's why I wasn't like, as it unfolded, I was watching it, without any expectations. So it was nice to not say, well, who's going to be the big villain? Oh, that's it. Yeah. Like I didn't feel that at all. No. And it was just awesome to see Elaine playing the bad guy.
Yeah.
Or some of you might know her as what's her name from Veep. President Selena Meyer. Selena Meyer.
Yeah. Selena Meyer.
Yeah. Whoa. I know what you were talking about.
I have to look that up. I used to watch Veep.
I knew her from A Bug's Life.
That's a throwback right there.
Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
It's right. I don't know, Todd.
Yeah. We do a lot of research here on the multiverse.
Yeah, we do.
But it's neat to see her doing a villainous role, and
she's going to be in Black Widow.
Yes, I
did not know that.
I had written about that it was it'll be a nice hope to see if she comes up in Black Widow. Mm-hmm. And remember, Black Widow was supposed to come out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So
we would have seen her beforehand.
Yeah, because Madame Hydra has Russian roots. She's like a triple agent, triple crossing kind of character, where she's a Russian sleeper cell Hydra agent, but really for the America and not at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right,
well said.
Yeah. I'm very excited for what she'll bring to it. I think very much, and from what I've read too, she's going to be sort of the anti-Nick Fury.
Yes.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, that she'll be putting her own team together.
Those two were a thing at one point.
Yes, in the comics, it was written that Nick Fury and Valerie were an item.
Yeah.
Lovers.
Yes. I think we'll finish up with one more character. We kind of touched on him earlier, and it's kind of the ending to the show is you have Sam bringing Isaiah Bradley to the Captain America exhibit where he basically, I'm sure he probably made a deal with the government saying, hey, if I'm going to be Captain America, you need to put this man into the Captain America Museum because he was a super soldier as well, and he needs his recognition.
And kudos to red tape and museum, everything that they put that together so quickly.
Yeah, right? It happened, a day later?
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Yeah.
A little clout, but he can't get a loan.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he still can't get a loan.
But I'm confused, though, is how do they make the bus without having the actual person there? Because when you make those, you usually mold the person's face.
Sam can draw.
Not having ever made a bust, I don't know. It was nice because Isaiah Bradley really is the heart of a lot of the show. I would argue also is Sarah.
Yes.
I think the two of them very much bring a lot of the emotional elements to the show. Isaiah Bradley has such a... And he very highlights one of those aspects of the show that makes it so thematically rich, which is the idea. And I think this is what the show is all about. The idea of legacy, of maintaining a legacy, of passing on a legacy, of remembering a legacy. And Isaiah Bradley, shows that in that he was sort of eliminated from that legacy.
Denied
that legacy when he should have gotten it. And there's so many elements that hint at that, the idea of them working on the boat, showing, there's one moment when they're working on the boat and Sam's about to paint over the name of it and she stops him.
It's our legacy.
It's their legacy. It's the parents have established this. You can't just paint over it. You have to carry it on.
Yeah.
And that's what Sam struggles with for the entire 6 episodes of carrying on Captain America's legacy.
Yeah.
You got Sam fighting his. You got Bucky trying to redeem his own.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Isaiah who's denied his. You have Carla that's trying to make hers. Mm-hmm. And you have John Walker who's thrown into a legacy that's not his.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that suit doesn't fit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they're all dealing with, Rob said it perfectly, the show is about legacy.
Yeah.
And, each character's on this path where their legacy is not, it's not defined yet.
Yeah.
And it's nice by the end of the show, everybody's where they're supposed to be.
Yes.
I had written about how, where WandaVision was all about dealing with grief, this is a show about dealing with not only racism but also with the legacy. You know what? I just thought about this. Not only the legacies and carrying them on, but putting down those legacies which should not be carried on. Hence, some of the racism aspects that exist, because there is a legacy of racism that exists in our country. I think we can all agree to that. And Isaiah Bradley and Sam Wilson are very much putting down that legacy and embracing it in a new way that shows, that tries to eliminate it as much as possible.
Yeah. But that pretty much wraps up kind of the main focus of what we wanted to talk about.
The dinner portion.
Yes.
Now on to dessert.
So again, like I said, we talked about our thoughts on the show. Now what we're going to talk about is what we feel like should happen in the MCU moving forward now that you had arguably a huge success of a show that kind of sets up the MCU in many different ways from here, whether television or movies. One of the big things is Captain America 4 now.
We'll have Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin.
That's just a rumor.
But it's been confirmed that it's in the works of creating a Captain America 4 with Anthony Mackie playing, obviously, Captain America.
With the showrunners, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. With the showrunners going, writing it, and, obviously.
So let me ask this question. Who, other than me, got chills when they saw Sam come out in that costume for the first time?
Oh, I loved it.
I loved it.
It was great.
And for that reason, I'm excited for whatever else comes as a result of this.
Hot take right now?
Ooh, fun facts and hot takes at the same time.
yeah.
Oh my God, what am I going to do?
Ready? Probably my favorite cap suit ever.
Ooh.
Oh, well, my fun fact is not going to be fun then, because, fun fact, my wife did not like it.
Ooh.
She did not like his suit.
Did she say why?
She hasn't specified yet, but she's just like, I don't
You know
think
what I
like
liked? Was the fact that he had the wings on a star as well. That was a nice little touch, because it
reminds me of the suit in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost like combining him and Captain America, because he's like, basically he's got the title of Captain America, but he wants his
Falcon.
But he wants his own Captain America legacy, and what better way than to change up the symbol of who you are by adding those wings in? Because again, he still has the wings.
Yeah,
and I love how flavor.
And I love how he doesn't refer to himself as Black Captain America, and he even corrects them. It's that
and they
same
say Black Falcon.
Yeah,
or I think
but
Falcon.
no, it's Falcon or it's Captain America. It's that same.
I'd like to put on the record that was his original name in the comics, Black Falcon.
Black Falcon. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why they keep saying it.
Okay.
But you know what? The thing about the costume I really liked, and this is a weird thing for me, I liked the face piece.
Yeah.
Because those sorts of things have been around in comics forever, like that kind of like half mask type thing.
Yeah.
And it was always one of those things that I thought would looks really good in comics, but would be terrible to translate.
Didn't Kid Flash?
Yeah, and it
right.
Kid
Flash that's who it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Kid Flash.
And I maybe because I'm so bitter about how they handled Kid Flash.
Yeah.
But I think they finally nailed it. Like it looks just like he did in the comics.
Yeah.
And I really like that half mask.
Yeah.
Because it's still like super heroic, but at the same time you're still seeing their face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because he doesn't need to hide his identity.
It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
None of them need to anymore. Even Spider-Man.
Ant-Man probably hides his identity.
No, he literally says to those kids, "Do you want to take a picture with me?"
Oh,
I'm
that's
Ant-Man.
true. He does. I'm Ant-Man.
You guys don't know Ant-Man. You don't know
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. You don't know Ant-Man. Now he does though because of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That most exciting part, also with the suit that gave me chills, which I'm sure you would agree with me, is when he bent down on the ground, wings went out, shield went up, and he blocked a helicopter.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
I also really liked when he was using the shield to block and the wings came out to ground him.
Yeah, to ground him.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
I also like how he uses his jetpack just like for like the quick jumps and stuff like that. I think it's just a really fun.
It's an intuitive suit.
Yeah,
it is. Well, it's funny because you watch Winter Soldier, and he's got to use his arms to maneuver it, and they finally got away from that, so it doesn't look as doofy.
I'm just waiting for him to be able to start talking to birds.
I know, because that was an actual thing.
Psychic connection to because Red Wing is supposed to be an actual bird.
Yeah, in the comics it was. Yeah. At least he could swim. Sam. I was very concerned. Like when he went underwater, I was like, oh no,
birds can't really swim.
But like Sam comes flying out, he's like,
penguin's a bird.
Penguins are a bird.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't say birds can't. I said
I love how Sam comes because he's still Sam. He's not like Steve. He comes out. You just earned this ass whooping.
Yeah.
Like that was a great line. I remember laughing at it.
So building on what we're talking about, yes, I'm very much excited to see what's coming forth in the MCU with this new Cap. I having been a huge fan of the Ed Brubaker series of Falcon of Cap and the Winter Soldier and Falcon taking it over and everything. It's neat to see it and I highly encourage anyone to read the Winter Soldier in the comic books. It's it's by Ed Brubaker storyline. They're mirroring a lot of it now, and it's neat to see them going forward with it. So I think Falcon as Cap is going to be a lot of fun in the MCU.
Yeah. I want to see him fight for control of the Avengers next, or to lead the Avengers.
Lead the Avengers. Who is going to lead the Avengers?
There's been a lot of talk about
Doctor Strange.
No, there's been a lot of talk about Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I would love to see the two of them go toe to toe and it's very similar to like how this whole situation was handled, where well, who's going to lead the Avengers? And Sam's like, I don't want to lead them, but I could see Carol Danvers being like, well, I can lead them, but
I'm the strongest Avenger.
I'm so busy doing other things.
Yeah.
And then you just
really don't like.
Then you just hear Thor in the background going, "As Guardians of the Galaxy." But I would be interested to see because there are no Avengers right now. That was a big part of Spider-Man Far From Home was, are the Avengers even a thing?
Right.
Are you in charge now? Like those were questions asked, and we still haven't gotten answers.
No.
I would love to see.
When do you think we will get those answers?
I'm hoping that this tees up that answer,
because it's not going to happen obviously in Black Widow. It's not going to happen in the Eternals.
I would
what's
say
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Doctor Strange.
Well, in
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is Christmas, and then after that is Doctor Strange.
I would love to see.
We might not see anything Avengerish.
We have
for a
not
while.
seen.
No.
We haven't seen Spider-Man and Captain America. I was going to say that, so I meant Sam.
Patience. That thing you've waited for until the very end.
What I'm saying is we haven't seen him and Sam interact since Civil War. Though I hate you. That whole scene.
Yeah.
I want to see if they can cameo him in any. I want Anthony Mackie. Obviously, he wants to do everything. He cameoed in Ant-Man. He did the show. Like he wants to be Captain America.
Fun fact: I've been in the same room as Anthony Mackie.
Fun fact: I've shared the same planet as him. So.
I saw him in a play in New York years ago. I didn't know. Awesome. I didn't know who he was at the time, and he was actually on stage with Christopher Walken.
Oh, that's hilarious!
So I got to see Christopher Walken on stage interact with Anthony Mackie, and they were both wonderful.
That's great. But if they can introduce him in other trying to regroup the Avengers, I think that'd be a really cool storyline. And there's our new Avengers, because there's a big push for these young Avengers.
Yeah.
I'm not really feeling it.
Spider-Man.
No, like Spider-Man, I don't consider him a young Avenger, but they're talking about Kate Bishop and Isaiah's grandson. He's a character in the comics. I think
Miss Marvel.
Yeah, like Miss Marvel, all that stuff. That's cool, but it's very CW-ish for me.
Yeah.
I want to see a team of Captain America, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, War Machine, who we didn't even talk about. He cameos in the first episode.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He's getting his own show, and Spider-Man, like that new team, and Captain Marvel, throw her in.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
I'm excited also in the MCU for the Secret Invasion storyline. That I'm not too familiar with it, but from what I understand, it's one of the fan favorites of the comic storylines.
Secret Invasion's very good. I was afraid they weren't going to do that because they made the Skrulls kind of the good guys of Captain Marvel.
Well, I wonder if Madam Hydra will play a role.
She was a very big part of Secret Invasion.
Which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yes. We would love to hear your thoughts on not only the series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but also on where you think the MCU will go or should go based off of the success of this. Paul, how could they do that?
Well, the easiest way, and a way we're going to talk about in a few minutes to wrap up the show, is Facebook. You can find us at the Multiverse Fan Cast or the Misfit Faction. You can also find us, as Ronnie said before, on any podcasting service: Podbean, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Just search the Multiverse Fan Cast. Every subscription and download and review is very helpful to the show. It builds our brand and how many people we can reach. You can find us on YouTube at the Misfit Faction Media Network and our Instagram page. I think it's just the Misfit Faction. And you can also find our Twitter, which is Misfit Faction. And you can find our website, which is www.themisfitfaction.com. And, do you want me to talk about Facebook a little bit?
No.
Okay.
I want to talk about the great shirts that Ronnie brought us today.
Yes, we do have...
We're all wearing Misfit Faction shirts today. Thank you, Ronnie.
Yes, we have brand new Misfit Faction shirts. We're going to hopefully post some pictures at some point over the weekend. We might even have a giveaway or two.
Maybe.
In the works.
I might bring out the T-shirt gun.
If you've listened this far, let us know, and you might get a little surprise.
Now, speaking of letting us know things, on Facebook, it is... what do I call it? Fan Feedback Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So a new thing that we've been doing on both this podcast and our sister podcast, the Cinematic Adventures podcast, is Fan Feedback Friday, where we present a question or a thought, and we let people on our Facebook answer these questions, and we've gotten some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So today's question was, if you could go to the bar with one superhero, who would it be? So I'm not going to say who wrote who. I'm just going to kind of go through the list. There are some repeats, so I'm going to apologize now. But we have Captain America or Spider-Man. Phoenix would be fun because she could tell you what everybody in the bar was thinking. Deadpool, Thor, or Aquaman, I can't decide. Thor, Spider-Man or Black Panther, but that's a really tough decision to narrow it down to even just those two. Tony Stark, more specifically Iron Man 2 Tony Stark. Tony Stark or Thor, hard to pick one.
And could they only choose Marvel?
No.
Oh, they could pick any superhero.
Aquaman was mentioned.
I don't know about this because I stayed so far off social media today because I didn't want anything spoiled for the finale for Winter Soldier.
Which is weird because usually Rob's the first one.
Nope,
Hellboy, which was a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine, and I think that's it. So we had some good ones today. I was very
basically
excited.
Your Marvel
very
characters
Marvel-y.
are alcoholics.
Tony Stark is who
I would go with,
because I know he would be buying.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But Aquaman would be fun. Jason.
Oh, you know who would be fun too?
Who's that?
Loki. He could probably just make free beers happen.
Oh, that's true.
All right. So you wouldn't even need Tony Stark.
Ghost Rider, although I wouldn't want to run into him in the bathroom.
Love it.
Yes. But thank you all for your feedback on our Fan Friday post. Keep it coming. Keep it going. And again, if you have any other feedback or any questions or topics you would like us to discuss, again, like Paul said, just reach out to us either through the website, Instagram, or even Facebook. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Ronnie.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll be back in a flash.
Smorgasbord.
I'm still recording. I was going to let you say it today.